Okay. Good morning, everyone. And I want you all to know, those who are receiving recognition today, that a lot of people are watching us online. We start the broadcast earlier. Y'all do me a favor, stand behind them, because everybody's going to be looking at it from this screen, and I want them to see administrators and supporters of the Kip Memorial School supporting their young folks. And this is a very special day. It's interestingly enough a special day for me in another way, but my mother taught at the school when it was, back then it was Jefferson Davis, but then she also taught a little bit later there. She was an English teacher, so I'm very familiar with the location. But on this day, I want to congratulate and present proclamations to young folks, recognizing our students, recognizing them for 5 years of excellence in academic competition and in student development. Memorial Middle School is a great school, and the debate team's success is representative of that. It was founded to strengthen public speaking, critical thinking, and research skill. The Memorial School debate team has become one of the most successful middle school debate programs in New Orleans, consistently earning first place at the Tulane Debate League tournaments and competing against top regional schools. Participation in debate has contributed to strong academic growth among team members, and congratulations on your academic success, enhancing their performance in English language arts, social studies, and leadership development. This year's team, which members of the public should know have been presented with proclamations from Councilmember Hughes and signed by all members of the council, includes Rynell L., Ronnie S., Amai B., Maya B., Tayden A., Brandon J., Leighton M., and Jara G. They represent the school with distinction, including standout scholar Amai B., who earned a full 4-year scholarship to St. Andrew's Boarding School. Congratulations. The proclamations also recognize the dedication of coaches, Ms. Donna Hudson, Ms. Marquisha Patton, Ms. Taisha Glover, and along with Principal Deanna Reddick for their commitment to empowering students through academic excellence and competitive debate. I also wanted to make sure that I've mentioned the name of Ms. Preston, the Vice Principal, and Malika Williams, the Director of Operations. So, in behalf of Councilmember Hughes, who couldn't be with us today only because there was a passing of a family member, but he certainly sends his congratulations and his accolades to you. In behalf of Councilmember Hughes, the entire City Council, and I'll speak for the Mayor and all of those who are associated with city government and who love the City of New Orleans, we congratulate you on your successes, and I want you to know how important it is to us that you all continue to pursue academic pursuits so that you can be, of course, the best students possible, but that you can make and contribute to make very positive contributions to our society. So I say to you two very, very important words, young people and administrators, the leaders of the team. Thank you and congratulations. Let's give them a round of applause. Who would like to be a spokesperson for the young people right now? Am I?
Oh, sure.
Okay, you're going to speak. Go ahead. There you go.
I'd like to say that joining the Kip Memorial Middle Debate Team is probably the best decision that a young person at Kip Memorial Middle can make, because of the way it changes you and reshapes you, not only in your school life, but also your personal life. With debate, and I think all of my teammates here can vouch for this, debate has made us a person we have never seen before. Like, it brings out the confidence that we did or didn't know we had. It makes us, it provides us with more knowledge. Like you said earlier, it provides us with more knowledge on social studies, the world around us, the current issues around us, and it makes us a better person overall, learning how to work with your teammates, research, win and lose in a good manner. And at the end of the day, we are all on the same level. We still get up and shake each other's hands at the end of the debate, and we are all in this together.
Awesome. That's one of the most mature statements I've ever heard from a middle school student. That debate program is working. Congratulations. What a great statement. And because we have many members of the public who are watching, I'm going to ask you to just mention your name. I mentioned your names as I read them, but we're going to mention each person's name. Start with you.
I'm Maya Blanche.
Okay.
I'm Lisa Mary Bernard. I'm Imai Bethley.
Jaden Andrews.
I'm Ronnie Stevenson III.
I'm Ronell Lumar.
I'm Jara Gibson.
And? Go ahead. Come down to the microphone so folks can hear you.
Christopher Rivas.
Go ahead. And I'm sorry to make you do that, but I like the public to know who they're seeing. That's all. Go ahead.
And I'm Miss Preston.
Okay.
I am Miss Glover. I'm Miss Patton. And I'm Miss Hudson.
It is, right. It is so great to see you all here today, and it's always great to celebrate the accomplishments of the young folks of New Orleans. And your being here today reminds me of, why New Orleans is a special place. We have young people such as yourselves who at young ages are involved and are doing great work. So again, on behalf of the City Council and the Mayor and Councilman Hughes, I thank you all for what you're doing and look forward to you coming back in the future to continue these successes. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Ms. Preston, would you like to say something?
We just want to thank the City of New Orleans for allowing us to be able to have this experience with our scholars. They work extremely hard, and it is a great experience and opportunity for them to be acknowledged for their accomplishments. So thank you, guys.
All right, and there's no limit. Ms. Preston, anybody else want to say something representing the instructors with the debate team? We said it all? Go ahead. Go ahead. There you go.
I also would like to say thank you for recognizing the students. This team of this group of 8th graders have been on the team since 5th grade, and the accomplishments they've had in these years have been absolutely amazing. So I'm so glad that in their 8th grade year they were able to be recognized.
Looking forward to seeing you all in the future contributing to society and continuing to pursue your academic pursuits. So once again, congratulations. We're looking forward to following you all.
Thank you.
I'll get one more picture, guys, before y'all move.
Pierce, get this.
Can y'all stand right behind?
All right. We're going to get ready to do our next proclamation. All right, Rep. Rifkin, come on down. Let's have a seat down here. That's where we usually make the people on the hot seat sit. All right. Well, today we are doing a proclamation on behalf of Education and Sharing Day. Education and Sharing Day started, Education and Sharing Day is March 29th, 2026. It was established in Congress in 1978 in the memory of the Rebbe of blessed memory. It coincides with the birth of the Rebbe on the 11th day of Nisan in the Jewish calendar. The day is a call of action to give time, resources, attention, not to others, to foster a culture of generosity and compassion. Educators, officials, and parents should pause to prioritize nurturing principled education for children. Education connects society and empowers us all to work for the common good, and we must teach young people personal responsibility and commitment to improving their communities. Rabbi, you'd like to, I'm sure you have a lot to add. Well, come on, you get to, Mike, talk to us about Education and Sharing Day. I know you have a lot more insight than I do just from simply reading a proclamation.
Thank you very much for this honor and for honoring the Rebbe's legacy. The city of New Orleans, with its diversity, is a place that's really ripe for acknowledging an event, a day such as this, education and sharing. And as we've discussed many times, you and I, education doesn't start in school. It starts at home, but it continues in school, and education is the solution for many of the ills of our society. So if we focus on that at a young age, thinking about not just transmitting information, but also transmitting morals, belief in a higher power, and understanding that we have responsibility to not just to ourselves, but to others, then that creates an environment and a society that is wonderful for all.
Thank you. You want to add anything, Councilman Green?
I just want to say that I'm pleased to be on the City Council because it also helps me to learn. I wasn't totally familiar with Education and Sharing Day and of the Rebbe's emphasis on education being available as an opportunity for all to help them to advance and to make a better society. So I'm glad to be here today to celebrate with you on this very important day. Thank you, Rabbi, for being here, and thank you, Council President Morrell, for bringing up Education and Sharing Day.
All right, we'll come down and present the proclamation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get started. Please take your seats. All right. So, Madam Clerk, you can begin by calling the roll.
Roll call. Council President Morrell.
Here.
Vice President Willard. Councilmember Amy. Councilmember McCarron. Councilmember Harris. Councilmember King. Councilmember Green. Councilmember Hughes. We have 3 members at the time. We don't have a quorum to start the meeting, but we will be doing the invocation, starting with the invocation.
Thank you. Rabbi Rifkin.
President Morrell, thank you for this invitation. Members of the City Council, ladies and gentlemen, today we honored my mentor, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and his devotion to education and sharing. His is a moral voice that has been heard in the halls of power of our great nation. His call for humanity to be devoted to the universal principles of morality, a belief in the Creator, respectful speech about the Creator, respect for the sanctity of life, respect for the sanctity of marriage, honesty and integrity, compassion for all God's creatures, and pursuit of justice will lead us to a time of universal peace and harmony for all mankind. Almighty God, we stand before you in prayer. Look favorably upon the honorable members of the City Council of our great city of New Orleans. We beseech you, Almighty and merciful God, to extend your grace to each and every member of this august body. Bestow upon them the joy of life, good health, and prosperity. Bless these distinguished individuals who have been chosen to make laws and decisions for the citizens of our city. Grant these public servants wisdom and understanding in their noble pursuit of justice and equality. Give them guidance so they will always be conscious of your presence and will strive to enact laws with honesty and integrity in accordance with your will. May they have wisdom to turn adversity into opportunity, to transform the hard challenges we face today into the seeds from which will sprout the growth of tomorrow. May our city serve as a beacon of light for people from all walks of life. May New Orleans help achieve the goal so powerfully stated in the Pledge of Allegiance, so that America is truly one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. All right, I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance All right, for those in the audience, you may notice right now we are quorum challenged, to say the least. So what we're going to do is we are going to run through deferrals, because deferrals do not require a vote. And once we get to a quorum amount, we will take up items that require a vote. So, Madam Clerk, you can start running through the deferrals.
Regular agenda items 1, 2, and 3, legislative grouping communication from Elizabeth Holman will be deferred to the meeting of April the 9th. We have items 4, 5, and 6, legislative grouping with a communication from Elizabeth Holman is deferred to the meeting of April 9th. At the top of page 29, we have legislative grouping items 22, 23, and 24. Ordinance calendar 34,385, motion line over M23,426, and motion line over M23,427 has been deferred to the meeting of April 9th. At the top of page 30, we have item 25, ordinance calendar number 35,117 has been deferred to the meeting of April 9th. At the bottom of page 32, we have item 33, motion line over M25-182 has been deferred to the meeting of April 23rd. At the top of page 33, we have item 34, motion line over M25-183 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. Item 35, motion line over M25-184 has been deferred to the meeting of April 23rd. Item 36, motion line over M25-186 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. At the top of page 34, we have item 37, motion line over, M25-187 has been deferred to the meeting of April 23rd. Item 38, motion line over, M25-189 has been deferred to the meeting of April 3rd. Item 39, motion line over, M25-235 has been deferred to the meeting of April 23rd. At the top of page 35, item 40, motion line over, M25-236 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. Item 41, motion line over, M25-238 has been deferred to the meeting of April 23rd. Item 42, motion line over, M25-239 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. At the top of page 36, item 43, motion line over, M25-288 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. Item 44, motion line over, M25-435 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. Item 45, motion line over, M2638 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. At the top of page 37, item 46, motion line over, M2639 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. Item 47, motion line over, M2640 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. Item 48, motion line over, M2641 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. At the top of page 38, item 49, motion line over, M2644 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. Item 50, motion line over, M2682 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. Item 51, motion line over, M2683 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. At the top of page 39, item 52, motion line over, M2684 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. At the bottom of the page, item 54, motion M26-115 has been deferred to the meeting of 4/23. This is all deferred matters on the regular agenda.
We are going to go at ease, Madam Clerk, for the time being, and when we get to a quorum, we will come back into order. We're at ease. Madam Clerk, we can go to the consent agenda first.
Consent agenda, we have a communication from Aaron Spears, this may be received. We have a communication from Joseph Ajaruso, Chief Administration, City of New Orleans, this may be received. We have a communication from Amy B. Trepanier, this may be received and referred to the Budget Committee. We have a communication from Ron Lazo, this may be received, hearing date 4/9/26. We have a communication from Matt Torrey, this may be received and referred to the Public Works Committee. We have a communication from Veronica Reed. This may be received and referred, hearing date 4/9/26. We have a communication from Susan Johnson, Town of Carrollton Watch, Jeffrey Bernard, President of Maple Area Residents, Inc., and Garden Marcus, Mark London. This may be received 7309 Ferret Street, hearing date 4/9/26. We have a communication from Susan Johnson, Town of Carrollton Watch, Jeffrey Bernard, President of Maple Area Residents, and Garden Mark London, 7310 Ferret Street. This may be received, hearing date 4/9/26. We have a communication from Susan Johnson, Town of Carrollton Watch, Jeffrey Bernard, President of Maple Area Residents, and Garden Marcus London, 1128 through 1130 Loreline Street. This may be received, hearing date 4/9/26. We have a communication from Stephen Nelson. This may be received and referred to the Public Works Committee. We have a communication from Mark Maurice. This may be received, hearing date 4/9/26, 119 Olivier Street. We have a report of Kai Howard. This may be received. We have a report of Anita Curran, 1411 Elysian Fields Avenue, Council District C, demolition application 25-28647 demo. This may be received. We have a report of Robert D. Rivers. This may be received, hearing date 4/9/26. We have a report of Caitlin Tamarick. This may be received. We have a report of Michelle D. Allen Hart. This may be received. We have a report of Brian Block. This may be received. We have a report of Eleanor Burke. This may be received. We have ordinance calendar 35,339 by Councilmember Hughes, zoning docket 6025. We have ordinance calendar 35,340 by Council Members Harris and McCarron, zoning docket 6625. We have a legislative grouping, ordinance calendar 35,358 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. And we also have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,358 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Willard, and McCarron by request, and King. We have a legislative grouping, ordinance calendar 35,359 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with an amendment. We have amendment to ordinance calendar 35,359 by Council Members Harris, Willard, and McCarron, and King by request. At the top of page 9, we have legislative grouping, ordinance calendar 35,360 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note received. Budget Committee recommended approval with amendment. We have amendment to calendar number 35,360 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Willard, and McCarron by request, and King. We have a legislative grouping, ordinance calendar 35,361 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note received. Budget Committee recommended approval with an amendment. We have amendment to ordinance calendar 35,361 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Willard, and McCarron by request, and King. We have the legislative group in ordinance calendar 35,362 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with amendment. We have amendment to ordinance calendar 35,362 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Willard, and McCarron by request, and King. We have legislative group in ordinance calendar 35,363 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with an amendment. We have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,363 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Willard, and McCarron, and King by request. We have legislative group in ordinance calendar 35,364 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with amendment. We have amendment to ordinance calendar 35,364 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. At the top of page 12, we have legislative grouping ordinance calendar 35,365 by council members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with amendment. We have amendment to ordinance calendar 35,365 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. We have legislative grouping ordinance calendar 35,366 by council members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with an amendment. We have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,366 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. We have a legislative grouping ordinance calendar 35,367 by council members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with an amendment. We have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,367 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. We have a legislative grouping ordinance calendar 35,368 by council members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with amendment. We have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,368 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. We have a legislative grouping ordinance calendar 35,369 by council members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with an amendment. We have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,369 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. At the top of page 15, we have a legislative grouping ordinance calendar 35,370 by council members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with an amendment. We have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,370 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. We have a legislative grouping ordinance calendar 35,371 by council members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with an amendment. We have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,371 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. We have a legislative grouping ordinance calendar 35,372 by council members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with an amendment. We have an amendment ordinance to ordinance calendar 35,372 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. We have a legislative grouping ordinance calendar 35,373 by council members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with an amendment. We have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,373 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. We have a legislative grouping ordinance calendar 35,374 by council members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval with an amendment. We have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,374 by council members Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. At the top of page 18, we have ordinance calendar 35,375 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, and McCarron by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval. We have ordinance calendar 35,376 by council members Harris, Morrell, Willard, and McCarron by request. Fiscal note was received. Budget Committee recommended approval. We have ordinance calendar 35,385 by council member Harris. The Budget Committee recommended approval. At the top of page 19, we have ordinance calendar 35,386 by council member Harris. Budget Committee recommended approval. We have motion M26-116 by council member Hughes by request. Question that was received. Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We have motion M26-117 by council member Hughes by request. Question that was received. Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. At the top of page 20, we have motion M26-118 by council member Hughes by request. Question that was received. Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We have motion M26-119 by council member Willard by request. Question that was received. Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We have motion M26-120 by council member King by request. Question that was received. Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We have motion M26-121 by Councilmember Green by request. Question that was received, Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We have motion M26-122 by Councilmember King by request. Question that was received, Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We have motion M26-123 by Councilmember Harris by request. Question that was received, Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We have resolution R26-124 by Councilmember Harris by request. Budget Committee recommended approval. We have motion M26-128 by Council Members Morrell, McCarron, Harris, Green, and Hughes by request. Question that was received, Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. This is all matters on consent agenda.
Thank you. We have one card. Mr. Chris Lang on item number 5.
Good morning, Council. My name is Chris Lang, and I live at 2500 Dauphine Street. I'm just talking about this particular item, number 5. Before we extend even more responsibilities onto our waste haulers like Ivy Waste in the French Quarter, I'd like us first to make sure they're in compliance with their existing contracts. So I'm talking about the RFP 4564. It's in reference in the contract, the improper set-out clause, which it says, in the event that materials not designated as recyclable materials are placed in the recycling cart, the contractor shall leave those items in the cart with a printed explanation affixed to the recycling cart explaining why the materials were not collected. I don't think anyone's ever seen a notice like that before from a service location in French Quarter or elsewhere that Ivy Waste manages. And improper set-out or cart tagging is the most effective way to reach and teach our public how to recycle properly. So if they can't do what's already in their clause in their contract, how can we reasonably add more to their contract in good faith? Also, we didn't see a pricing proposal or technical proposal that was referenced in the contract to weigh in whether it makes more financial sense to approve this particular absorption of recycling cart replacement. Are they charging us on a per unit basis or merely charging a flat rate? This matters because if it's a flat rate, then they have no incentive to tell residents that they can order recycling carts, and we've seen that they prefer to pocket the money and keep us ignorant of their responsibility to provide us these services. That's happening both in recycling collection, and if they now absorb it for recycling provisions for the carts, that's an issue that I have, and it's also a fiscal issue for us in terms of inefficient contracts. This also brings me to the next point. It seems like the writing's on the wall. If we approve this contract for Ivy Waste, this amendment, it'll be precedent for that 3.7 clause in other service areas that they manage, so that's a huge conflict of interest, particularly because they opposed the EPA Swiffer grant, which would have provided free carts to residents, and now we're basically setting a precedent for them to be charging us to provide those carts, and I would say we should not be accepting that. Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Hearing none, I'll move to approve. Machine's down, so again. All right, why don't you move and approve while I try to get my machine up again.
Move to approve the consent agenda. Seconded by Councilmember Freddie King. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that 5 yeas?
That's 5 yeas.
Thank you. At the top of page 25, we have item number 7, legislative group and demolition application of Empire Group LLC, Empire Construction and Restoration. Transmitted application 25-28647 demo requiring City Council review and approval of the following property located at 1411 Elysian Fields Avenue, Council District C. We have motion M26-131 by Councilmember King, approving the demolition request for Empire Group LLC, Empire Construction and Restoration for property located at 1411 Elysian Fields Avenue.
Councilmember King.
Thank you. We have not received any opposition to this request, and the owner has plans to immediately redevelop this property into a single-family home. Are there any comments online? Okay. With this, move adoption. Second by Councilmember Harris. Five yeas, no nays. Thank you.
At the bottom of the page, item 9, we have legislative group in zoning docket 1526, Adams Barone Property LLC, requesting a zoning change from an HURM1 historic urban multifamily residential district to an HUMU historic urban neighborhood mixed-use district, and a conditional use to permit the retail sale of packaged alcoholic beverages on Square 259, Lot B, Part 10, in the 4th Municipal District bounded by Barone Street, Washington Avenue, Dry Street, and 4th Street. Municipal address is 2727 through 2733 Barone Street. The recommendation of the City Planning Commission being for approval. We have motion M26-135 by Councilmember Harris, approving the applicant's request for zoning docket 1526.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is anyone from CPC here? All right, well, the report is attached. This motion would approve a zoning change to conditional use to permit the retail sale of packaged alcoholic beverages. This site is currently developed with a non-conforming retail establishment that is not currently in use. It was in use, but then it went out of use. The Central City Fallberg Live-A-Day members are in full support of this project, and the project did not receive any neighborhood opposition at the MPP meeting or the CPC hearing. I have one comment card from Ron Lazel. Any comment, Ron? You're in support. I'm in support too, and I will move to adopt. Councilmember Morrell seconds. 5 yeas and the red zone is back. Thank y'all.
Item 11, we have legislative group in zoning docket 1626, Third Rose of Sharon Baptist Church, requesting a conditional use to permit a community center in an HUMU historic urban neighborhood mixed-use district on Square 303, Lot 1 in the 4th Municipal District, bounded by 3rd Street, Simon Bolivar Avenue, South Saratoga Street, and 4th Street. Municipal address 2134 through 2138 3rd Street. The recommendation of the CPC being for approval with 4 waivers and 1 proviso.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
We have motion M26-136 by Councilmember Harris, approving the applicant's request for zoning docket 1626, subject to 4 waivers and 1 proviso.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This motion approves the conditional use to permit a community center on the 3rd Rose of Sharon's property adjacent to the church building. The adjacent lot is currently undeveloped with any structures. The applicant previously applied for a conditional use permit on this property in 2017. That docket was approved by CPC, but the approval expired. This project did not receive any neighborhood opposition at the MPP meeting or CPC hearing. Any public comment? If not, I'll move. Seconded by Councilmember Morrell. Five yeas. Thank you.
At the top of page 27, we have item 15, legislative group and zoning docket 1826, the Three Girls LLC, requesting a conditional use to permit a hotel in a CBD2 historic commercial and mixed-use district in the transient lodging interim zoning district on Square 66, Lot A1 and Lot 20, or an undesignated lot in the 2nd Municipal District, bounded by Iberville Street, Bourbon Street, Canal Street, and Raw Street. Municipal address 716 Iberville Street. The recommendation of the CPC being for approval with 2 provisos. We have motion M26-132 by Councilmember King, approving the applicant's request for the zoning docket 1826, subject to the 2 recommended provisos and a waiver of the required short-term bicycle spaces outlined in Article 22, Section 4.8, Table 22-1, all street vehicle and bicycle parking requirements.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have a comment call from Ms. Heather Cooper.
Hi, Heather Cooper, AQ Studios, 1100 Poydras Street. I'm the applicant representing the architect. We appreciated the CPC's support of our project and would appreciate the waiver of the short-term bicycle parking due to how narrow the sidewalk is in this area. But we'd move forward with the project either way, so we appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Any online comments? Okay. This hotel would be normally permitted by right, but the transient lodging study ISD that is in effect has caused this application to be considered by the council as a conditional use. The request has been received. The request has received a recommendation of approval by both CPC staff and the full City Planning Commission. And we have not received any public comment in opposition with this move adoption. Second by Councilmember Harris. One more vote. 5 yeas, no nays. Thank you.
At the bottom of the page, we have item 17, Legislative Group and Zoning Docket 1926, Tony Dixon, requesting a conditional use to permit a small child care center in an SRS suburban single-family residential district on Square 10, Lot 56, 3rd Municipal District, bounded by Babylon Street, Prentice Avenue, Stemway Drive, and Drew Avenue. Municipal address 4701 Babylon Street. The recommendation of the CPC being effective denial for lack of legal majority. At the top of page 28, we have motion M26-133 by Councilmember Green, approving the applicant's request for zoning docket 1926, subject to 4 provisos. We also have motion M26-134 by Councilmember Green, denying the applicant's request for zoning docket 1926.
At this time, I'll entertain public comment. We don't have a representative of the City Planning Commission here, but it's not necessary. It's effective denial because there was lack of a legal majority means that basically there weren't enough members to actually make a direct recommendation to us based on the number of votes. So I'm going to call first the comment cards that I have. I'll tell you that I only have 2 comment cards. I want to make sure that if there's any other comment cards that you get them to me at this time. So effectively, we're starting with the comment cards that read in opposition, which is what has been checked. Ms. Vanessa Diggins, Malia Subdivision Association.
Excuse me. Good morning.
It doesn't work?
Good morning.
It works.
Yes. It is a good morning. Okay. My name is Vanessa Diggins. I reside at 4720 Stemway Drive, New Orleans 70126, the Malia subdivision. I'm here representing the residents of Malia. I'm from the Malia Neighborhood Association, and that we're in opposition. If I can read this proposal that was passed around. Okay. It says, we, the residents of Malia subdivision, are writing to formally express our opposition to the zoning change for the proposed daycare facility at 4701 Babylon Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70126. While we understand and support the need for quality child care services within our community, we believe that this particular location is not suitable for several important reasons. First, the intersection at Babylon Street and Drew Avenue experiences consistently high traffic volume. This area serves as a main thoroughfare, particularly when the Seabrook Bridge breaks down or is experiencing heavy use, resulting in increased vehicle flow through our neighborhood. The addition of a daycare at this location would significantly increase traffic congestion and pose safety concerns for the residents, pedestrians, and especially young children. Second, the property and the surrounding infrastructure are not equipped to handle the level of activity a daycare center would generate. The narrow streets and limited parking makes it difficult to accommodate the additional vehicles and daily traffic flow without compromising safety and convenience for residents. Additionally, the licensed daycare operator, Keon Cooley, currently operates an existing facility, Tyler University 2, located at 5427 Crowder Boulevard, at the corner of Dwyer Road and Crowder Boulevard. This location appears to be more...
1 second, man. Councilman Green moves to give the speaker another 30 seconds. What's the other minute? 1 minute. Another minute. Without opposition, you have another minute, ma'am. Go ahead.
Thank you. This location appears to be more appropriate for children, for child care operations, as it offers adequate parking, sufficient space for daily activities, and safe outdoor areas where children can play. It is also situated in a way that allows for community involvement without placing added strain on a densely residential street. Finally, this development could negatively impact the character and overall quality of life within our neighborhood. Our community values its quiet residential atmosphere, and introducing a business of this scale would fundamentally alter that balance. For these reasons, we respectfully urge City Council officials to deny approval of the daycare proposal at 4701 Babylon Street. We ask that that alternative sites better suited for commercial and high traffic use be considered instead. Sincerely, residents of the Malia subdivision. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Diggins, for your comments, and members of the Subdivision Association for that letter. Ms. Tammy Vincente? Yes.
Good morning. Well, we've spoken about this quite a few times. I know you know that we're not happy about this daycare coming into our neighborhood. Not only is this a tiny house with barely a yard, there's no parking. The owner, the daycare tenant that's going to be renting this property indicated that they may be parking in the vacant lot next door, which they don't own. She also, when we first met her, said that this was going to be a 6-child daycare. Now we're finding out she's being approved up to 20 children. It's way out of the scope of the range for this house. The size is tiny. It has 1 bathroom in there. We don't even know how they're going to accommodate that many children. Not only that, we live on a very quiet senior street. You can see my neighbors are here. And they show up every time. We have 67 people that signed a petition in our neighborhood that don't want this daycare. So all we can ask of you is, why do you want a daycare? We don't have any small children in our area that need a daycare. So how could you consider it? I don't have too much more to say, but I just want you to know that we're not happy about it and we really oppose it.
Okay, thank you very much. I do want to make it clear that at the end of the day, we consider it because it has come forward as an application at the end of the day. Today is the day on which we make a decision. Our job is to hear as much as we can from residents, so I appreciate that. I just wanted to comment as to when you say why. We haven't made a decision. No decision has been made. Okay, no, that's all right. But you should have said that here, but I got you, though. I understand. But look, I do want to start off by saying thank you to the residents of the Malia subdivision. You've come out in significant numbers on more than one occasion, including the neighborhood participation meeting and also on Saturday. Though I was not able to be present, you saw that Mr. Gregory Douglas was there to see and hear from you once again. There were over 25 people, and you took a poll, and only one person expressed support of it. I do find compelling some of your discussions relative to the fact that it's a couple of blocks away from Downman Road, for example, where there is opportunity for commercial development. I also take into account the fact that I don't have anyone in the community who has written to me or has commented other than off the record in terms of support of this particular development. So I do want to let you know that your concerns are heard, and that is why we have neighborhood participation meetings. That is why it is great that Malia has a meeting at which people attend, that they can be heard, and that's what we heard on Saturday evening. I appreciate your investment. I appreciate your petitions, your communications with me. So at the end of the day, I am moving on motion number M-26-134, asking council members' support, which denies the applicant's request for zoning docket number 19/26. I appreciate the work of the City Planning Commission. I regret that there was not a vote, but at the end of the day, I understand maybe why there wasn't a vote here. But we recognize that people who've invested in their communities deserve to be heard. That is why the neighborhood participation process exists. This does not necessarily have any reflection upon the applicant. It's a strong statement in support of the residents who are, again, here today at this meeting. I appreciate the history of Malia. I appreciate the fact that in many respects we're moving in the right direction, and I appreciate the participation that you show, such as with the garden on Dwyer and all the the other projects that are going on with the participation that you show in your community. So members, I move for denial of the applicant's request, zoning docket number 1926.
And we'll be withdrawing motion M26-133.
Yes. Thank you. The motion is 5 yeas, no nays, and thank you again, members of the subdivision, for coming out today and supporting your community.
Thank you so much.
On page 30, we have item 26, legislative grouping, ordinance calendar 35,127 by council members Morel, Moreno, Jeruso, and King. An ordinance to require the criminal justice agencies to use the city's current enterprise resource planning system, BRAS, or similar contracting and procurement database approved by the city council to delineate how city funds are allocated within their respective agencies, and otherwise to provide respects thereto. We have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,127 by Councilmember Morel. An amendment to ordinance calendar 35,127 to provide additional time for certain criminal justice agencies to implement full use of BRAS, to remove agencies already using BRAS, and otherwise to provide respects thereto. This amendment will be withdrawn, and we have a substitute motion to ordinance calendar 35,127, adding an effective date of June 1st, 2026. We need a vote to receive the substitute.
I'll move. Second by Councilman Harris. Please vote your machine.
And we need a vote to add it to the agenda.
Okay.
I'll move to add to the agenda. Can I get a second? Second by Councilmember Harris. All in favor? Aye. 5 yeas, no nays. It is added to the agenda.
You to discuss the matter.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this simply provides, the substitute amendment gives an explanation based upon our conversations with the legislative auditor as to why this ordinance is necessary. It further gives an effective date as to when the ordinance shall be in effect. We are in constant, as a council, we are in constant communications with the incoming sheriff. I'm sure that once the incoming sheriff has come in and reviewed the books, we will probably have to have additional conversations with her, but the goal as of right now is to bring all of the law enforcement agencies that are not in compliance with BRAS into BRAS so that we can track spending. As you know, due to constitutional provisions, we cannot necessarily dictate what the spending is, but we'd like to know what it is so that we can budget for it and it's necessary. I'll move to adopt the amendment. Second by Councilmember King. Please vote your machines. Missing one. There you go. 5 yeas, no nays. I have no cards on this one, so as my previous conversation addressed the underlying amendment. What's that? Do you have a card? This is number 26. Do you have a card on this item? Okay. Would you like to speak on this item? Then you could come speak and then fill out a card afterwards. So we are discussing item 26, dealing with the BRAS ordinance, and it has just been amended, so we're dealing with the item as amended.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Mahdi.
Yeah, this George Mahdi, Neighborhood Unity and Merge. You know, we see that the state is putting more resources into juvenile injustice. This is just another instance of it. The funding process and all that's going into corrections and law enforcement rather than education and other vocational opportunities for kids. It's the more, the problem is this is an extension. And maybe I should talk on the other one that I had.
Yeah, I don't, this item we're voting on right now doesn't actually give any more money.
Yeah.
It says they have to report how they're spending the money, so it doesn't
Okay.
deal with actually giving anybody any more money.
I'll just talk on the next one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move to adopt this as amended. Can I get a second? Second by Councilmember King. Please vote your machines. Missing one. Oh, it's me. There you go. 5 yeas, no nays. Like I'm looking around, it's me. All right.
At the top of page 32, we have legislative group and ordinance calendar 35,387 by Councilmember Harris. An ordinance to amend and reordain section 70-415.339 through 70-415.342 of Division 54 of the Chapter 70, Article 3 of the Code of the City of New Orleans relative to the Housing Trust Fund to clarify appropriations, processes, and oversights of the funding and otherwise to provide respects thereto. There's an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,387 by Councilmember Harris. An amendment to revise the Housing Trust Fund Advisory Committee appointments to include one from the City Council Quality of Life Committee Chair and another from the City Council Budget Audit and Board of Review Committee, to update the appointment schedule during municipal election years and to change the quarterly and annual reporting due dates.
All right, I will move to amend. Councilmember King seconds. Need one more vote. All right, and now let me just talk about what this is. This ordinance is essentially a cleanup instrument for the Housing Trust Fund components of City Code. As amended, this ordinance does a few basic things. It removes the council president's community land trust appointment and replaces it with an appointment of the budget chair. My team has spoken with the council president, council members, stakeholders, and the nominated appointee, who are all on board with this change. The ordinance also adjusts some of the dates that we've codified, including quarterly reporting dates, budget submission dates, and appointment submission dates, all after we've learned from our experience on the first go-round. Nothing today amends the appropriations or programming under the Housing Trust Fund. I understand that the CEA, with our fiscal administrators, Nora, and Finance New Orleans, is still being updated by the administration, and that it will come to the council at some point. I do have some comment cards. The first is Monique Blossom, followed by Paula Pete.
Good morning, Monique Blossom, Louisiana Fair Housing Action Center, 1340 Poydras Street. I'm also a proud member of the Housing Trust Fund Advisory Committee, serving on behalf of LAFAC for the people of New Orleans. My comments today are mostly on timing and creating a little bit of a sense of urgency because we're a bit behind on schedule, and getting funds out the door and providing affordable housing options and assistance to the people of New Orleans is our shared top priority. So first, I'd encourage the council to move swiftly on their appointments for the Housing Trust Fund so that we can go ahead and begin meeting, since we'll owe you a report in April based on the ordinance changes. And the advisory committee is a key component of transparency and information for the public on the Housing Trust Fund. And then second, with regard to the cooperative endeavor agreement, I encourage the administration and council to sign that as soon as possible so we can start getting money out of the door. If funding is still not available upon the signing of the CEA, we would love to see the release of notice of funding availabilities and the issue of conditional awards as soon as possible so folks and contractors can start to break down, preferably before hurricane season starts, because those fortified roofs will be crucial for members of the community. And we'll see, I'm forgetting the word, chain supply issues if there's storms in the Gulf. So lastly, I'd just like to thank the Office of Community Development. I see some folks over there for their willingness to provide staffing, and we look forward to continuing this critical work together. Thanks.
Thank you, Monique, and I couldn't agree more. Paula Pete, followed by Luann White.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here to witness a new day. We've had a lot of bumps and grinds through this, and it's time to get started. I just wanted to know basically what is the total amount of funding that's being allocated to the project?
That is TBD.
Okay, and who will be the lead agency? Because before I know there were some other groups that's planning to. It's going to go through the housing department now?
The Housing Trust Fund Advisory Committee determines how to allocate funding.
Excellent. And then I guess we have to wait for the meeting in order to get the current information. So I just wanted to say thank you for taking this effort. There are a lot of contractors out there who want to be involved in these programs. They're bringing their own money to the table. All they need is support, and they're working toward building resilient housing so we can withstand hurricane, wind, storms, or whatever nature throws our way. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Luann White, followed by Ms. Xavier. Luann? Hi.
Good morning, council members. My name is Luann White. I'm the founder of Luvis Services. We build tiny homes for people transitioning out of homelessness here in New Orleans. We're currently building in the Lower Ninth Ward. Right now we have residents moving into homes we built. For us, the Housing Trust Fund is the difference between whether we and small developers like us can build the next homes or not. 75% of our voters approve this fund. 2% commitment must be honored fully and without delay. We also need transparency, especially around if funding is tied to bonds. We need clear timelines so that small developers like us can plan and build. We need to fund what works now. Small multifamily housing and small developers can deliver quickly, stabilize neighborhoods, and create real impact. We're already doing this work. With the right support, we can do more. Please protect the integrity of the Housing Trust Fund. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Xavier? Xavier Estates? All right. I'll move to adopt. Seconded by Councilmember Morrell. 5 yeas and 1 absent. Thank you.
On page 39, we have item 53, motion line over M2699 by Councilmember Morrell, amending Rule 47 of the Council Rules and Regulations to add a paragraph 10.
Thank you. 1 second. All right, this simply adds a line that deals with allowing, facilitating for expeditious meetings by allowing comment cards that are submitted electronically to be added to the record more efficiently. That's what it does. Do I have any cards on this one? It's 53. I see Mr. Mahdi standing up, so I guess he wanted to make a card. Okay.
No, this is about number 33. Y'all passed that up.
Yeah, well, probably because the person here was not present. Let me see, 53. I'll come back to you on that. So you're concerned that 33 hasn't been heard yet, correct? Okay. This is on 53. I will move. Can I get a second? Second by Councilmember King. Please vote your machines. All right. 33 was deferred? Okay. Mr. Mahdi, 33 was deferred for today. You might not have been here when it was deferred earlier in the meeting. So it's not being heard today. The deferral date for 33 is?
April 23rd.
April 23rd. Okay.
At the top of page 40, we have item 55, resolution R26-126 by council members McCarron, Willard, Harris, King, and Green, endorsing and supporting Louisiana House Bill 892 of the 2026 regular session which authorizes the creation of the West End Economic Development District in Orleans and Jefferson Parish. The Utility, Cable, Telecommunication, and Technology Committee recommended approval.
Thank you, Clerk. And members, I just got back from Baton Rouge, and I'm happy to report that the House Committee approved this bill. This is a resolution from our council supporting this bill to create the West End Economic Development District. This West End area was devastated by Hurricane Katrina in 2005, which forced the permanent closure of many historic businesses. This is a true partnership between Orleans Parish, Jefferson Parish, and the state to move this project forward. It's a small piece of land that's currently now a parking lot, and that will be the area that will be redeveloped. It will be keeping all of the green space that's currently there in West End Park and reinvesting into that area to keep the trees and the park and everything situated there. So with that, I ask for, I'm going to motion to approve. Seconded by Councilmember King. Vote your machines. 6 yeas, 1 absent. Thank you.
We have item 56, Resolution R26-129 by Council Members Morrell, Wheeler, McCarron, King, and Hughes. A resolution in order establishing a new zoning docket and procedural schedule to revise Chapter 158 of the Code of Ordinance, docket number UD 2501. The Utility, Cable, Telecommunication, Technology Committee recommended approval.
Thank you. This is a extensive revision of Chapter 158 in the code that deals with utility regulation. This is a revision of a code that is over 50 years old. It's 2 years of work. The documents for consideration represent a tremendous amount of work from CURO, the advisors, stakeholders, and utilities, beginning with docket UD 2302 on customer protections and include docket UD 2501. The highlights, it streamlines customer complaint process with appeals to the council, establishes a utility regulatory manual, which is a one-stop shop for the rules governing city council programs like the RCPS, community solar, and the IRP, and it creates general updates to reflect our existing processes like submitting filings electronically and to make regulatory proceedings more accessible. That's what it does. Any comments? Hearing none, I will move for adoption. Second by Councilmember Willard. Please vote your machines. That's 6 yeas, no nays.
At the bottom of the page, we have item 57, Resolution R26-130 by Council Members Morrell, Wheeler, McCarron, King, and Hughes. A resolution in order with respect to the Council Utilities Regulatory Office reimbursements for the regulated utilities. Utility, Cable, Telecommunication, and Technology Committee recommended approval.
Thank you. This simply updates the 2016 resolution, which reflected the annual budget of a much smaller CURO and allows for cost recovery from Energy and Delta regarding CURO. Yes.
Mr. Chair, I just want to be on the record because somebody has already asked me about it. Yes, I support this resolution. My name may not be mentioned because of the makeup of the committee, but this resolution and the previous one I support.
Okay. Thank you. Whoa.
Yeah, just add up.
All right, well, Madam Clerk, we're just going to add the two other council members to this item.
Next door.
All right. Thank you. I will move. Second by Councilmember Willard. All in favor, vote your machines. 6 yeas, no nays.
Council members, we will be going back to page 26 on the agenda. We have item 13, Legislative Group and Zoning Docket 1726, City Council Motion M2617, requesting a conditional use to permit a wine shop in an HUB1 Historic Urban Neighborhood Business District on Square 95, Lot A in the 7 Municipal District, bounded by Maple Street, Fern Street, Bird Street, and Short Street. Municipal address 7901 through 7915 Maple Street, and 800 through 802 Fern Street. The recommendation of the CPC being for approval with 6 provisos. We have motion M26-125 by Councilmember McCarron, granting the applicant's request for zoning docket 1726, subject to 6 provisos.
Okay, since CPC is not here, I will just talk about this. The owners of Meyer Provisions wish to expand and sell packaged alcohol beverages. They held 2 neighborhood participation program meetings and revised their initial plans based on neighborhood feedback, which is important in this part of the district. The neighborhood association suggested several provisos that were adopted by the City Planning Commission, and these provisos will be adopted in this motion as well. I have one comment card from Greg Meyer. Would you like to speak? Okay, great. Therefore, motion to approve. Seconded by Councilmember Willard. Vote your machines. 6 yeas, 1 absent. Thank you.
At the bottom of page 28, we have item 20, legislative grouping, street name change 126. Requesting consideration of renaming of West Robert E. Lee Boulevard, bounded by Hammond Highway, Regent Street, and Pontchartrain Boulevard, to Zephyr Court. The street is approximately 0.3 miles in length and would affect 46 parcels and 77 addresses. The recommendation of CPC being for approval. We have motion M26-127 by Councilmember McCarron, approving the proposal of renaming West Robert E. Lee Boulevard, bounded by Hammond Highway, Regent Street, and Pontchartrain Boulevard, to Zephyr Court. Street name change 126.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Members, West Robert E. Lee Boulevard was not included in the 2021 renaming of Robert E. Lee to Allen Toussaint Boulevard. This is mostly because West Robert E. Lee is a separate street broken up by West End Boulevard and should not maintain the same name. My predecessor, Councilmember Giarrusso, met with the West Robert E. Lee residents and business owners last summer to explain the process and get input on the new name. Former Councilmember Giarrusso submitted Zephyr Court for consideration because many New Orleanians fondly remember the Zephyr roller coaster and Pontchartrain amusement park. And in 1993, the Denver Zephyrs, a minor league baseball team, relocated to the Crescent City and became known as the New Orleans Zephyrs. The advisory committee, planning committee, and city planning supported this change, and now I am here to finish the job. Any comments? Okay, great. With that, I motion to adopt. Seconded by Councilmember Morrell. Vote your machines. 6 yeas, 1 absent. Thank you.
At the bottom of page 30, we have item 28, ordinance calendar 35,342 by Councilmember McCarron by request. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the City of New Orleans to enter into an agreement to grant a servitude to an adjacent property owner for encroachments on and over portions of public right-of-way located at the municipal address 6400 Memphis Street, to fix the minimum price of terms of said servitude agreement, to declare that such use is granted, and servitude agreement will incorporate space that is neither needed for public purpose nor shall use interfere with the use of public right-of-way, to set forth the reasons for said servitude agreement and otherwise to provide respects thereto.
Members, there's going to be 3 servitudes in District A. This is the first of the 3, 6400 Memphis. These contracts amount to roughly $2,700 annually in revenue. Not much, but every little bit helps. With that, I motion to approve. Seconded by Councilmember King. Vote your machines. 6 yeas, 1 absent.
On page 31, we have item 29, ordinance calendar 35,343 by Councilmember McCarron by request. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the City of New Orleans to enter into an agreement to grant a servitude to an adjacent property owner for encroachments on or over portions of public right-of-way located at the municipal address 373 Walnut Street, to fix the minimum price of terms of said servitude agreement, to declare that such use as granted in the servitude agreement will incorporate space that is neither needed for public purpose nor such use shall interfere with the use of public right-of-way, to set forth the reasons for said servitude agreement and otherwise to provide respects thereto.
Members, this is 373 Walnut servitude. Motion to approve. Seconded by Councilmember King. 6 yeas, 1 absent.
At the bottom of the page, item 30, ordinance calendar 35,344 by Councilmember McCarron by request. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the city of New Orleans to enter into an agreement to grant a servitude to an adjacent property owner for encroachments on or over portions of public right-of-way located at the municipal address 5400 Magazine Street to fix the minimum price of said terms in said servitude agreement, to declare that such use as granted in a servitude agreement will incorporate space that is neither needed for public purpose, nor shall such use interfere with the use of public right-of-way, to set forth the reasons of said servitude agreement and otherwise to provide respects thereto.
Last one, 5400 Magazine, motion to approve. Seconded by Councilmember Morel. Vote your machines. 6 yeas, 1 absent. Thank you.
Council members, we can suspend the rules to go to ordinance on first read.
Ordinance is on first read. Ordinance calendar number 35,391 by Councilmember Hughes by request. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the city of New Orleans to enter into amendment number 4 to a previously executed cooperative endeavorment agreement between the city of New Orleans and Capital Area Corporate Recycling Council for the valuable public purpose of providing electronic waste removal and recycling services, reducing dumping fees, reducing electronic waste in landfills, and providing greater access to technology, to extend the term thereof for 1 year, and to reaffirm the maximum aggregate amount of compensation of $0 is more fully set forth in the amendment number 4 from attached hereto as Exhibit A and made a part hereof, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,392 by Councilmember McCarron. An ordinance to grant an amendment to ordinance number 27,971 MCS zoning docket 12618 to permit the expansion of a neighborhood commercial establishment in an HURD2 historic urban two-family residential district on square 445 lots D and E in the 2nd Municipal District, bounded by Orleans Avenue, North Rendon Street, Hagan Avenue, and St. Anne Street. The municipal address is 3201 Orleans Avenue, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto zoning docket number 326. Ordinance calendar number 35,393 by Councilmember Morel. An ordinance to amend and reordain Article 19 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, ordinance number 4,264 MCS, as amended by ordinance number 26,413 MCS and subsequent amendments, to create a new interim zoning district to be named the Transient Lodging Interim Zoning District, the intent of which is to require conditional use approval for hotels, motels, hostels, short-term rentals, commercials, timeshares, bed and breakfasts, principal and accessory in all zoning districts citywide, where they are otherwise permitted, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto zoning docket number 626. Ordinance calendar number 35,394 by Councilmember King, an ordinance to amend and reordain Article 13 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, ordinance number 4264 MCS as amended by ordinance number 26,413 MCS and subsequent amendments, to define shipping container dwellings as home built from repurposed shipping containers, mandate exterior cladding and additional roofing structures to conceal their industrial features in SRS suburban single-family residential districts, and incorporate them as permitted or conditional uses in relevant zoning district tables, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto zoning docket number 726. Ordinance calendar number 35,395 by Councilmember Harris. An ordinance to establish a conditional use to permit a standard restaurant in an HUB1 historic urban neighborhood business district, CPC Character Preservation Corridor Design Overlay District, and the Magazine Street Use Restriction Overlay District on square 217, lot D in the 6th Municipal District, bounded by Magazine Street, Louisiana Avenue, Camp Street, and Toledano Street. The municipal address is 329 Magazine Street, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto zoning docket number 926. Ordinance calendar number 35,396 by Councilmember Harris. An ordinance to establish a conditional use to permit a neighborhood commercial establishment in an HURD2 Historic Urban Two-Family Residential District on Square 506, lots 13 and 14 in the First Municipal District, bounded by Arado Street, South Gayoso Street, South Salcedo Street, and Thalia Street. The municipal address is 4200 Arado Street, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto zoning docket number 1326. Ordinance calendar number 35,397 by Councilmember Harris by request. An ordinance to amend and reordain ordinance number 30,532 MCS entitled An Ordinance Providing a Capital Budget for the year 2026 to effect the following change to the 2026 capital budget: to de-appropriate funds from the Department of Public Works to appropriate them to the Department of Public Works, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,398 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 30,530 MCS as amended, entitled An Ordinance Providing an Operating Budget of Revenues for the City of New Orleans for the year 2026 to appropriate private grant funds from the Mayor's Alliance Action Fund to the Health Department for the No Kid Hungry program, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,399 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Green, and Hughes by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 30,531 MCS as amended, entitled An Ordinance Providing an Operating Budget of Expenditures for the City of New Orleans for the year 2026 to appropriate private grant funds from the Mayor's Alliance Action Fund to the Health Department for the No Kid Hungry program, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That concludes the ordinances on first reading.
I will move. Second by Councilmember McCarron. Please vote your machines. What? Voted to go into, okay. That was the whole motion to suspend the rules to go to first read. Now, Councilman Grieve moves we adjourn. Councilman Harris seconds. All in favor? All right, 7 yeas, no nays. We're adjourned.